All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome, all of you coming over from Pre-Market Prep. I'm Spencer Israel. This is our All Access show. Actually, a little bit of a different show today. I'm going to tell you why that is in a second. Before we go any further, though, let me just do my usual. If you'd be so kind and smash that like button for us, I'd appreciate that. The more likes we get, the better this show does in the eyes of the YouTube algorithm, and the happier a person that I am. So here's a situation for the next couple hours. Normally on a Friday, we do all access from like 9 to 11. Today's going to be a little bit different, though. Today, we're actually going to do a combo of all access and live trading. So here's what's going to happen. In a couple of minutes, I'm going to bring on our first guest of the day, Joe Hayon, the president, CFO, and co-founder of Inspira Technologies. And then after Joe, from 9:40 until 10:40 for a full hour, right after the market opens, we will be doing live trading. Myself, Mitch, Ryan, Zunaid will be here for that hour. And then after that hour, we're going back to the interviews. We're going back to I've got two guests. I've got a 1040 guest, Matt Nicosia from Vivacor, and then Randall Crowder from Phunware at 11 a.m. So it's a combo show. We're going to get the best of both worlds here. We're going to get all access and live trading at the same time. So very exciting stuff. Before I proceed any further, I have to mention a few things. Item number one, as I say every week, all access is a paid show for Benzinga. What does that mean? It means, first off, the show is demonetized on YouTube. Second thing, all of the guests on this show today, Inspira, Vivakor, and Phunware, have paid Benzinga to be on this show. What they don't get, however, is they do not get access to questions ahead of time, because I don't write questions ahead of time. That's not my style. I don't know what I'm going to ask. So they don't know what we're going to talk about. They have this vague idea that they're here to talk about their company, but beyond that, that's kind of all that they know. We're going to see where the conversation takes us. And the best part is they don't know what you are going to ask in the chat. Every single one of these segments we're doing today, we will save time for chat Q&A at the end of the show, or at the end of the segment, excuse me. So if you have a question for any of our guests today about their businesses, about their companies, about their sandboxes, ask away. I will be your conduit. I will ask your question for you of our guest. Housekeeping item number 2 is that our All Access show is sponsored by Ticker. Ticker is revolutionizing how everyday investors are rewarded for brand loyalty by connecting consumers with the perks that they own. Yes, get rewards just for owning a stock. We have a quick trailer that explains more. Let's go ahead and roll that.
What is Ticker? That's right, Ticker with 2 I's, just like you. Because it's for you, for investing, for stock perks, for connecting you to public companies who reward you as a shareholder, as a brand lover. That's why people can't stop tickering. Ticker, where investors discover shareholder perks and consumers become investors in the brands they love. Ticker. Start tickering today.
All right, so I'm putting the link up on the screen, TIICKER, ticker.com/Benzinga. The link is also in the description of this video. Use that link, create an account, connect your brokerage to your account, and when you confirm your account via email, there's a little box there. It says, "Are you from Benzinga All Access?" You say, "Yeah, that's me. I'm from Benzinga All Access." Checking that box will tell Ticker to send you a $20 Amazon gift card. Again, just create the account, link your brokerage, and indicate via the checkbox that you're from Benzinga, and Ticker will send you a $20 Amazon gift card. Just like that. It's really that easy. So check it out. Again, link in description. I'll bring it up again later on in the show. Okay, so I think with all that being said, it is time for our first guest of the day. I'm going to talk to Joe Hayon, the president, the CFO, and the co-founder of Inspira Technologies, ticker IINN. And let's get Joe on right now. Joe, how are we doing? Welcome to All Access. How are we doing today?
Well, thank you, Spencer. How are you keeping?
All right, let's start with this. Whenever I speak to a founder or a co-founder, the first question I want to know is, what happened in your life that made you want to create this company? So tell us about your background and how you ended up creating Inspira.
Thank you. So for many years, I've worked for large medical device companies. I've worked for Elsint, which developed the MRI and the CT. Those technologies were later bought out by GE and PIC, and is eventually, which was also bought out by Philips. After that, I worked for Sanmina SCI, a turnkey manufacturing for medical device companies, and then later on for Plasan that developed armored vehicles with deployment for the US Marines. So I spent a lot of time around developing products, manufacturing, bringing great solutions, end-to-end solutions to the market. I think this was just a growing passion until a couple of years ago that I decided to do this with my team and to basically start a new beginning.
So, but was there like a hole in the market that you saw that you're like, oh, I can fill this?
Of course, we identified a few years ago an unmet need. Unmet need. We were looking at the respiratory care market, and we were looking at the fact that people have difficulty breathing. They treat it with an oxygen mask, and in many cases, it's just not enough. They continue to deteriorate, and then you end up being intubated and getting placed on a mechanical ventilator. You're in a coma. It's two extremes, and it seems that there needs to be something in the middle. There's an unmet need in the middle, a gap that needs to be fulfilled. So we went out and we said we've got to find a new way of treating a patient where they could get respiratory support while they're being kept away. And this is the concept around which we set up Inspira.
Yep. So I have a few slides here that I want to bring up on the screen. Well, this sort of gets at your capital raising, but I want to jump at really like what is the core of your business? Explain to us the technology that is at your core and how it works.
So today you've got, as I said, you've got an oxygen mask. If that doesn't work, you could put it in invasive mechanical ventilator, which requires intubation. And for salvation treatment, there's something called ECMO, which is based on a heart-lung machine that uses blood that's pumped outside the body, about 6 to 7 liters of blood per minute. It's actually replacing heart and lung function, increasing so it's working as a pump. It's also removing CO2 and adding in oxygen. And this is used in extreme cases. So what we've gone and done is instead of replacing the heart and the lung, we've gone and we are providing augmented respiratory support. Now, I do want to emphasize that our products are in development. We are yet to test it on humans, and this is obviously pending regulatory approval. But the technology is very similar to like dialysis. So we're exerting about 1 to 1.5 liters of blood per minute in a patient that would be awake. Their lungs would still be activating. In other words, they're still spontaneously breathing. And we're circulating this blood through a machine that is able to remove the CO2, dissolve oxygen in this very small quantity of blood, which is circulated back to the patient and is able to provide a saturation boost. In other words, improve the oxygen level within the patient's bloodstream and therefore assist the lungs and stabilize them while the doctors take care of the underlying medical problem. So in a sense, if we look at it from the need in the ICU, instead of a patient just being put on a mask and it's not doing the job, we'll be able to offer them our solution called the ART, augmented respiratory technology, and potentially prevent the need of placing them on an invasive mechanical ventilator.
So what's the market here? Is it any person on ECMO or any similar type of treatment?
It would be anybody, in a sense. The potential is anybody who has received a face oxygen supplement. In other words, they've got a face mask, it's not enough, and their only offer is to put them on a mechanical ventilator. Now, millions and millions of people, even prior to COVID, end up in ICUs placed on mechanical ventilators. So we can step in and provide a new standard of care, a new type of treatment. We can prevent a lot of long-term hospitalizations, complications, and a new solution that doesn't exist today.
So yes, since you mentioned COVID, obviously that the pandemic has increased the need for events. Everyone knows this. Though we are 2 years into this thing now, and though it is still a serious problem, it does appear that the worst is behind us in a lot of ways. I'm just curious if the pandemic has changed anything for you as far as timeline is concerned.
Well, the pandemic actually helped to make the problem more visible to everybody. There were millions of people around the world requiring mechanical ventilation, and no one really understood or looked at the complications, the risks associated to it. COVID has obviously spotlighted that it's not a very good solution. Now, of course, the pandemic has educated the public. Doctors have used ECMO-based technologies to treat acute patients. Therefore, we believe by coming in with our systems, both the ECLS and the ART, which I'll go into a moment, we believe we will be able to use it and have an easier adoption process. So just that you know, just referring to the slide that you have, Inspira has developed its own form of ECMO, which is used as a salvation treatment based on direct blood oxidation and CO2 removal. And we plan to use this product, which is designed to assist patients, and we will be taking it through an FDA approval already in 2023. Now, we will use this in order to penetrate the ART system, which is designed to prevent the need for mechanical ventilation. So, in a sense, we're working towards a timeline. COVID has definitely assisted in understanding the growing need. And there are many things propelling this market. It's not just COVID, there's COPD, there's a growing elderly population that suffer from pneumonia. So again, we're talking about millions and millions of patients every single year that are ending up on mechanical ventilation, a treatment which is full of risks and full of complications.
And what aside from, like, I guess what are the other benefits here of your ART system, right, or your ECLS system, aside from the fact that they're not, it's not ECMO, or you're not getting put on a vent, like medically speaking.
Right. So firstly, the patient, it's designed to to be treated when the patient is awake. So think of yourself, God forbid, having respiratory problem and you're being told that you're going to be placed into a coma. So the fact that you can stay awake and be communicative with your family, with the doctors, has lots of value. By not intubating the patient, it means that we are preventing further damage to the lungs, which is a very common problem. ECMO, for example, because they're using such a high quantity of blood, our system uses small volumes. So there's much smaller chance of clotting complications. So in a sense, what we're able to do here is provide a solution that allows the patient to be awake without shutting down the lungs. We're not replacing the lungs, we're augmenting the lungs' capabilities. So this, in a sense, makes the treatment have the potential of being safer and maybe a shorter treatment, and therefore allow the patient to go home much earlier.
And then as far as the timeline here, let's get to that, because as you said,
Right.
you are in the development phase of this, and you don't have, these products are not approved yet in the US. So what is the timeline here for both of these solutions?
For our ECLS, for our ECMO version, already in the first half of 2023, we plan to submit a 510K Class 2 FDA submission approval. In other words, when we start the process, FDA, of course, will give us feedback. There's a time frame here, and once we submit it, there's a certain period until you get approval. Of course, it depends on the FDA. Secondly, in the second half of 2023, we are submitting the ART for an FDA submission. This may be de novo or PMA, because we're talking about a new intent of use of direct blood oxidation, a new type of treatment. But in this case, there's a very high likelihood of the need for, of course, clinical studies. So it's a bit of a longer pathway, but this is a very scalable and very dramatic solution for the market. This is a high growth, rapid impact solution that we believe could restructure the respiratory care market.
So the takeaway here is this is a several year process. This is a several year story for you.
We don't know how long it's going to take, but we know that normally with these types of products, it could be months, it could be years, but this is a medical device. We need to remember this is a medical device. This is not a pharmaceutical. This is not a medication that requires the longer stages.
Right. And what about like partnerships? Have you considered, or are partnerships with other companies on the table here?
Sure. So there are different types of partnerships. Firstly, we've informed the market of several distribution agreements that we have in the US and in Europe. These are distributors that will be working with us for the future deployment of the ECLS and the ART. Again, this is conditional to completion of development and regulatory approval. On the other hand, we have already collaboration with Sheba, which is a 9th-ranked hospital in the world. They've already shared information about the use of our systems in future treatments. We will, of course, be working towards expanding our network in this area. We've also had very key opinion leaders join the company lately, including Professor Brody, who is the president of the International ECMO Association. This is one very major endorsement out of many, which shows that there are key opinion leaders around the world that are part of our development process. And again, the company does manage dialogue with the medical industry. We are definitely under the spotlight of the medical industry. And the reason being most likely is that there are not many players with ECMO technology in the US, for example, with FDA approval. And secondly, I think there's a very clear understanding developing here that invasive mechanical ventilation has its downfalls, but the art is a new technology, a new capability, which has the potential to change everything because it's a very scalable solution. It's a much more affordable solution. It's based, by the way, on disposables. So it makes it extremely accessible for millions that don't really have the capabilities or access to this high level of treatment today.
What makes it more affordable?
Well, firstly, the system itself, it's affordable for many ways. Firstly, the system we plan for it to be affordable. It's based on disposables, so it's a disposable kit per patient per treatment. It's designed for the patient to be awake, which means it's a lot more less costly for the hospital and for the health system to manage the patient while being treated. The system's also being built to be plug and play. So different to systems today, it's actually got a cartridge that can be assembled by a more generic type of medical staff. So the treatment itself is less reliant of, there's no need for an anesthetist, there's no need for a perfusionist. We're doing away with many types of medical support that you'd normally require for this type of stuff. Now, the goal, because of the way it's been designed and the benefits that it could potentially provide, we plan to begin and start deployment in the ICUs. But this has the potential to be deployed outside of the ICUs, which means you're also reducing the daily cost of treatment at the hospital level as well.
There's a good question in the chat from Sabrina. Would this be a potential treatment for pulmonary hypertension?
This would support any solutions normally where there is a low oxygen level and by providing a support. I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't want to give a direct answer for this type of medical condition, but just for the viewers to understand, in most cases where people either have some kind of an acute asthma, ARDS like COVID, pneumonia, COPD, any cases where the body is not able to provide gas exchange to the bloodstream, we would be able to potentially provide a support. It very much depends on how acute the patient's condition is. Where we wouldn't be able to provide a solution is to replace full lung function, or where the lungs are badly damaged, in other words, that they've collapsed. It's in those cases you have no choice but to use an invasive mechanical ventilation. But again, we're looking at the larger portion of the market that we believe we would be able to assist millions of people annually.
Yeah. What can you tell us, Joe, just about the general state of the early stage medical device market that you just the place that the sandbox that you are in right now?
Could you like to elaborate a bit?
I mean, look, in terms of your ability to raise funds if you need it, or the I mean, I'm just like, we're coming out of this pandemic, and whenever I talk to someone from an earlier stage company, we're having the conversation with the caveat that things haven't developed yet, and it is a growth story. It is an emerging story. And in different points in the cycle, the market likes emerging stories, and the market doesn't like emerging.
But look, when things are at an early stage, there's always a lot of challenges and also a lot of risks. So from a financial point of view, the company has done some wonderful capital raising. We've had the turnover or the exercise of even warrants that has provided income. I can say that as of late last year, we had $26 million in the bank, so we definitely have runway. So for a small company, we're very well funded. Secondly, we have attracted highly qualified specialists to the company from different areas in the industry. We have internal regulatory capabilities, clinical, IP, development around these types of equipment. We have the best of the best KOLs joining the company. We have the chairman of the board is Mr. Professor Bernard Goldwasser, who has over 10 exits to his name. So you can understand the type and the quality of resources that are around the company, in a sense, are only endorsing what's happening inside the company. Now,
no, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
So now we understand that in many cases, people saying, okay, you're developing a product, you're probably going to have to wait a couple of years. What are we going to do in the meantime, right? So we've taken a multi-step approach. This is why we're working on both the ECMO and the ART. The ECMO is a superior technology. There are very, very few companies in the world that have an ECMO capability, and they're the very large medical device companies that have even bought over technologies. Many of them didn't develop that themselves. So we were already going to show next year that we have a superior technology, a similar standard to the largest companies in the world. And this will prove, should we succeed, this will prove to the world that even though we're a small company, we have the same capabilities like some very large corporations. And then a little later, we're going to come out with the ART, which is going to reshape and provide a new trend and a new scale of treatment in the respiratory care.
What about the respiratory care market specifically? Can you give us some insight as to how that is projected to grow?
It's growing dramatically. There's a propelling market that, as I said, there is, we've all heard about this because of COVID, but there are other diseases. There are about 100 million people worldwide with COPD, and this is growing every year. There's a growing elderly population. Now, we may not consider this as a threat, but by 2050, there will be 2 billion people over the age of 60. Now, at this age, when you get pneumonia, you are extremely vulnerable, and you have a high chance of ending up in the ICU and being placed on a mechanical ventilator. And these folks are most likely not in a medical condition to have repetitive treatment using a mechanical ventilator. So this is just part of the market that's growing. There's also post-COVID patients. But I do want to emphasize there were millions and millions of people being placed in ICUs on mechanical ventilation way before any of us heard about COVID. So COVID has only just emphasized and put this on the map for many governments and medical institutes. But it's a problem that's always been around, and now we're all just aware of it. And as I said, COVID has exposed both the medical, clinical, and economic weakness of mechanical ventilation.
I just want to address Roni's question in the chat, because Roni's asking whether you plan to sell the ECLS system and when do you plan deployment. Well, Roni, it depends on the regulatory pathway, right? So it's not necessarily.
So we're gonna take this to a class 2 510K. In most cases, there's no need for clinical studies because it's similar to an existing product with regard to regulatory approval. So if we're going to be submitting in the first half of 2023, you can do the math. This could take several months, again, depending on regulatory approval. This product, we plan to deploy it in institutes, starting off in the US, to already prove that our products are just as good as those products available and manufactured by the leading multi-billion-dollar corporations that have FDA approval in the US. So I think this is going to be a huge milestone and show that we have an equal superior capability in preparation and penetration of the ART, which will follow.
Awesome. Joe Hayon, the president, the co-founder, and the CFO of Inspira Technologies. I know it's a little bit later in the day for you, Joe, so I appreciate you hopping on with us today, and look forward to following the progress of both your products and the progress of the company. And good luck down the line. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Spencer, and thank you everybody for joining.
All righty. Here's the plan. As I said off the top of the show, it's a combo show today. We're going to do all access and some live trading. So it is 9:40 a.m. Eastern time, which means the markets are open, and which means I've got Ryan and Mitch here with me right now. So without further ado, I'm going to bring them on the show. Ryan, good morning.
Spence?
Mitch, long time no see. Guys, I've been doing that for 10 minutes, so fill me in. How high are we in terms of the market, not in terms of,
I was going to say, man, we're working, so I don't know
how I meant like in terms of like the chart.
Dow's up 325 this morning.
That's after the close, man. That's after the close. That's for
I
Cannabis Insider, man.
I caught myself right away. I caught myself. Anyway,
no worries. We have a cannabis show also, Cannabis Insiders. If you guys don't know, check that on out. But
plug,
yeah,
Mitch.
definitely. One thing that I would definitely take a look at, it's a mixed play out there right now.
okay.
I'm seeing stocks like BTU, XUP, NEM. Those are gold plays. But then I'm also seeing other stocks up. I'm seeing reopening trades up. I'm seeing food distribution. If I take a look at my sector analysis, and I can see here, there's only one sector that's into the red from the open, which is technology. You got utilities leading from the open, financial services behind that, and then consumer defensives. So that shows to the downside kind of look. But then I'm also seeing, I mean, if we take a look at the SPY, you're actually up on the day. So this is where it gets a little confusing. This is one of those days that I can tell you right now, I haven't taken a trade, and it's not because I haven't seen anything. On BTU, on gold and X, I kind of like those VWAP bounces, but just the market going kind of the opposite way of plays right now. I'm a little confused.
Join the club, Ryan. I'm also very confused. How are you doing here? I'll bring up your screen right now.
I'm doing really good. I actually watching IRNT here for a scalp. Also CYRN. Both of these came off the scanner. CYRN, great trade here. These are in the cybersecurity sections. This is obviously clearly hot. Last couple of days have been unreal. Yesterday, the day before yesterday, I actually bought a 425 SPY call. And when I woke up yesterday morning, I was like, well, that's going to zero. It was one that expired today. And I said, well, that's going to zero. And so I had just held it. And I ended up selling it yesterday, end of day, for a 50% gain. So that was monster. I also bought the Russian Bull leveraged ETF, RUSL. Bought this at 702 and exited at 1141 this morning. So there's been some absolute monsters here. The volatility has been rather crazy, but we're still finding ways to make some money here.
Nice trade on the RUSL.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was a big one. that was a big one. And actually, this had multiple opportunities throughout the course of the day. This actually spiked to 9 right out of the open, came all the way back down to 6, and then went to almost 10 in the same day. These leveraged ETFs can be bonkers, but really good for trading vehicles.
Really good for, let's be more specific, intraday or
all right,
like
guys, I'm in a trade here, guys, taking a live trade here on Boyle here, guys. Just tried to get a starter there on the 60s here, right on that. Looking for an ad down towards the VWAP. Going to look to see if it takes out 38 towards the upside. So you're looking at a potentially 40%, 40-cent gainer on the upside. Risk right now would be about 20 cents to the downside towards the 37.40s. Let's see if we can get this to start pushing here. It did start pushing. The spread is about 10 cents. So this is when you got to be a little bit careful with that spread being about 10 cents and our risk being about 20 cents. You could see the bid come down to your risk. We got to make sure that there's no orders filling there. Now 37.75. There's the 37.70s. Now 37.90s. Let's get to the 38, and then we're going to sell half of it and keep the rest of it for the extension above for the momentum move.
Nice job on Boyle. This is another one of those ETFs that moves around like crazy. The pros often refer to natural gas as the widowmaker. So just be very, very careful when you're trading this, Mitch. It looks like you have an excellent entry there and a good plan to mitigate your risk as it continues to move in your direction.
The widowmaker, this guy said.
I'm telling you, we just discussed it last night. I'm telling you what this said.
I'm just watching here. I'll bring up my pro right now because I'm watching I'm using my scanner tool to watch gainers and losers off the open here in Benzinga Pro. Yeah, so on the chat mentioned who mentioned CYRN. Yeah, Thrifty, I see that as well. It's your top gainer. That's my top gainer off the open right now. CYRN. Up.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay. So what else do we have here? What comes you mentioned IRNT. Trying to go off my memory of like I've got my movers tool frozen on the pre-market. It's good to remember what was your biggest gainers and losers in the pre-market. This is old information now, but I can sort of cross-reference that with my movers tool and see.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll see stocks that were down significantly, up significantly. Sometimes you'll see stocks that were up and haven't given a single tick to the upside. So
that's it. Oh, and Junaid will be here. So he's having some broker problems. That's not good.
No,
Cool.
and that's something else. Yesterday there were some brokers that were laggy at the open. I think interactive brokers had some trouble. So that's absolutely something that you should look into before placing some of these trades, especially now when there's no commission fee for actually placing a trade. Go ahead and place a trade for one share. Make sure that your broker is actually working correctly before you start loading up with size, because if you can't get out of a position that's going against you, it's infuriating.
All right, guys. A big position of the day that I kind of missed the entry. I talked about it in the pre-market, and that's how it is sometimes. Sometimes you're looking at the right trade and you just don't execute. VWAP bounce trade on X would have worked perfectly. We talked about this in pre-market before the open happened. Was looking for X to get a nice push there. And VWAP bounces when you get above a resistance. You want to see it come back towards that VWAP. Same thing happened here where you see that Harmy comes right back to it. You could have got an entry here and been risking off maybe the pre-market low or even just the low of the intraday towards the 37s, pushing up there towards 25. Not a bad day there for steel. And then also you did get a big volume spike here. So see if you can hold above that high. That's showing you continued momentum. And if you draw a trend line, you could just follow that with the momentum. And as long as that doesn't break, you're still in the bullish sense.
All right. If you were watching pre-market prep this morning, you heard Dennis's idea to be buying any growthy tech names on dips. I don't know if we've actually gotten any dips yet today.
Yeah, I mean, you've gotten some in tech. You've gotten some pullback.
All right, let me pull up.
Did he give you any names? Because I mean, like Apple's dipping off the open here, but
no, he's referring to like all like the crap that rallied yesterday, right? Like your Palantirs of the world, your Kathy Woodstocks, right? Your ARC funds, your Lucid is a good one, right? I mean,
I was looking at it, but it just washed out for me. What's the other ones like Ride? There you go, Nicola. Oh, Nicola looked
Ryan, would you buy puts on these buzzy cybersecurity plays?
No.
50 wants to know.
No, I would not. The cybersecurity plays seem to be the theme. Maybe it is a short-lived theme. I make my money to the upside. I would not be trying to jump in front of a freight train and buy puts right now. No.
All right, I'm looking at potentially a short here on Nicola. The big thing is I'm looking for another push back towards the VWAP so I can get closer towards the 88s, and we can risk about 5 cents on this trade and look for a move right back down towards the low. It'd be about 20-something cent gain here towards the 764. So you're talking about like a 20-cent gain if we get it there in the 84s. We'll see if it rejects here to get back above 790s, and then I could take the short.
Darren Anderson, you guys looking at Garmin? GRM. Let me pull that up on my screen right now. I don't have
yeah,
it today.
MRO ripping, guys. When things don't make sense, then the following day they start making sense. Look at MRO also ripping today, guys.
So this Garmin. So yeah, it bounced yesterday like everything, frankly, but didn't bounce with the same sort of ferocity. I'm not quite sure how to characterize the Garmin here. It's not a high growth name, and yet at the same time, it has been pretty beaten down in the last 6 months. So you know what yesterday did? The good part about yesterday is it did give you an obvious out on on any long trade you want to make, right? You have a stop. Your stop is yesterday's low. That can apply to basically everything, right? It gave you an obvious level. You want to buy Garmin now? All right, you stop yourself out at 106. There you go.
The one thing that I will say about the move yesterday is that we're still in a bear tape. So when you're in a bear tape, you will often have bounces that are ferocious. And that's kind of what we saw yesterday. So what I would caution people on in terms of like swinging or jumping back into the tech names, let's make sure this is actually a trend rather than just a dead cat bounce or a one-day event. So that's just a general word of warning. Not saying it can't work, but I don't think we're necessarily out of the woods yet, if you will.
Yeah, I feel the exact same way, Ryan. Yeah. And hey, if that means I felt the same way in the back half of March and April 2020. I mean, if that means I missed the bottom, frankly, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm
You know what
not
I
in the
mean?
business of hitting the actual bottom, because when you do that, you're going to end up missing quite a bit. I'll take just a chunk of the move, even if it's smaller. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
Wow.
with that, one of the things that I always look at is always ask the question. I talked about it in pre-market prep. What environment are you in is so important
Yeah.
when you're catching bottoms or calling tops. All right, guys, here having boiled towards 37.95. Let's see if we can get that push through 38s, and then I'm going to go ahead and take half of it off and let the rest of this work for the day. We got 37.99s here on the offer side. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to throw out an order into the 38s. We're going to throw it out around 38.07 here, look to get a pop fill. And then once we get that fill, we could look to just go ahead and let the rest of the trade work. We'd love to see the volume increase. So you see right here, we're at a nice and a point where if you get through that whole dollar with some good volume, you could really start pushing. So let's see if we can get a nice volume increase in Boyle. All right, looking around, what is moving for me? So I gave this watch list out about, I think, a week ago on live trading. So we could take a look at some of these trades right quick. X leading there for me, at least on this watch list. MO is one that's interesting today that's moving. I don't know if you want to take a look at that one, Spencer. I know that there was some news that's been moving around on PM.
There was some insiders. Well, yeah, MO and PM. Hey, look who's here. Zunaid.
Yay!
Zunaid, you get your broker problems well worked out?
Yeah, my fills were all off. So I had to take care of that from yesterday. Apologies for that.
Busted a few trades?
Almost, if they didn't correct it, yeah.
All right, good deal.
It took them 20 seconds yesterday to fill a market order, and I was like, I can't deal with that.
Yeah, no, that's not that's not going to work. I was actually just saying before you got here, Zunaid, it's always worth it to make sure that your platform is working properly before sizing into trades. And if you have to trade one share at a time to make sure that's the case, that's what you got to do.
Amen. That.
Good thing you didn't get stuck. Glad you got it resolved.
Yeah, thank you. They were kind enough to fix it, so it's fine.
Do you want to give a plug to the customer support at E-Trade or whoever?
TD Ameritrade? Sure. Oh, we're not live. Oh,
we are live. We are live.
It says scheduled for me.
I know, but we're live.
Zunaid would.
We are live. I promise you we are live.
Zunaid, you're thinking too much there, bro. Just find us a YOLO.
I'm thinking too much by reading what the platform tells me.
I promise you we're live. Don't forget what the platform tells you. Ignore the platform. We're live.
So don't curse anyone out.
Don't curse anyone out.
No. Don't say anything bad here.
That man, Mitch, I swear to God.
Oh, no.
I'm going to save you right now, Zunaid.
The show has gone off the rails quickly.
NASDAQ, there's 288 sizing on the level 2 there for Boyle at 37.84s. That's a huge order size, right? And so we're looking to see if it's going to break through the 38s here. If you, for some reason, see a move back towards VWAP, you got to be careful just in case that is someone kind of sizing on up there for the bid there on the 37.84s. You see how the time and sales just starts filling there. And so a lot of times I filter, if you're looking at Boyle right now, you just saw 14,543 shares go through at 84 and 5,700 shares go through at 84. That's part of that big order. Some of it got eaten up. And so now I'm looking to see if that's going to get completely taken out. Do you see how it just drops right now to that 37.50? Essentially, we're in 10 cents risk here now. But this is why I was watching that. Is that a big order on the buy side or sell side? We don't know right now. But one thing I always do is pay attention to those big orders, because that's what's going to be creating the momentum, those bigger types of trades, not the 100 trades that are flowing through on algorithmic volume. We're looking for that big boy to step up here. We'll see what happens in Boyle.
That's why they call it the Widowmaker.
Hey, Spencer, I don't know if you know this. I know it says scheduled, but I can see that we're live. So I just want to give you a heads up, man.
Oh, damn. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right. Okay.
Boom shakalaka!
Spencer's trying to get me fired live on air.
I'm not trying to get anyone fired. I'm trying to keep the show on the tracks here. This is still our all access show. I know you guys are here, but this is still our all access show. People have paid to be on this show today, so I'm trying to keep the train on the tracks if you know what I mean.
I do. How long do we have?
About 55 minutes.
Oh, okay. Solid. I'm going to take a quick little crack here. I'm going to go ahead and grab the 430 calls. Got filled at 216.
Wait, on what?
SPY. Sorry.
Okay.
What a lunatic. SPY. SPY 430 calls. Let me tell you exactly. Wait for that. I got filled at $2.12. Now, this is going to be a quick stop out trade, possibly if we end up breaking 429, you can go ahead and risk off, or 428 would be your ultimate go ahead and get out. Now, keep in mind, since these are lottos, you can easily be down 20% already. I'm hoping for low of day to hold. We'll find out if it does. See, at this point, people are like, why did you even get on? I'm already down 12%. Why are you even on here?
That's the option game, right?
That's the option game.
That's what I tried to talk about it yesterday. A lot of people were after you guys left, Junaid and Ryan, a lot of people were talking about how I take common stock and why do I take it, or why do some people like options, and then some people are saying that I have hate for options. No, you gotta know what works for you, and if it doesn't work for you, you're just doing it wrong if you're just going to continue to give the money back. So find what works best for you. Either it's options or commons. Really, I don't think there's one that's better than the other. And I know that a lot of times you'll find options traders saying, oh, but you can get cheaper leverage and all that. Yeah, but you could lose your money 10 times faster in options. So there's always positives and negatives to both strategies.
Exactly. It's a trade-off. They're different investment vehicles. They have different purposes. This is normal, right? This is there's a trade-off. And like you were saying, there are times where you want that leverage. There are other times where that leverage is going to punish you and it's going to hurt. So it really, you're spot on. You really need to know the environment you're in. You need to pick the product for the correct trade. Now, with what Zunaid's doing, a lot of the times when Zunaid's trying to gather something that's on momentum and a YOLO, if you will, he wants leverage. That entire trade plan wouldn't work without that leverage. So that's why you would take options in that point. And the other thing about options is you can define your risk ahead of the trade.
Yeah. No question about it. Now, SPY, you can see it tried to test the previous close and tried to break below. The bad news is that we're below VWAP. So if you want to go ahead and get out, you can get out with about an 18% loss. Maybe we got filled at 212. It's currently trading at 173. But it doesn't look pretty. I'm not going to lie to you. AMD looking to go below VWAP here as well.
I think my Wi-Fi on my laptop just crashed. Trying to make sure I still have internet here.
You're still on, man.
We can't hear you. So you probably
very funny. You're not gonna get me, Luke. Luke always gets me in front of the whole company.
Can you imagine if I said that and Spencer's like, beep 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 beep, and then you just you're like actually live. You know?
No, you're not. All right, my Wi-Fi just came back. Because I'm on my desktop and my laptop at the same time. Okay, I'm back.
You never left.
Yeah, thank you. So what else am I seeing out there? Oh gosh, so a lot of the stocks that were down, there was only a handful of growthy names that were down in the pre-market, and they're still down this morning. I'm looking at Open Door. They're down even more actually off the open. Open Door and Beyond Meat. These were kind of the only two growthy, beaten down names that I could find that weren't rallying overnight here. And Open Door now, is this an all-time low for Open Door? Let's find out. Do we have a setup here? Oh gosh, this is an all-time low for Open Door.
That's like Kraken, I'm thinking.
And then and then Beyond Meat is also at an all-time low today for any Beyond Meat traders. If you're any bottom fishers here in Beyond Meat, you are literally fishing at the all-time low. So.
All right, SPY starting to break down below the important price point for me. So that's that red line, that 428. So I was looking to see if we were going to get a push up towards the next level up, which is towards that 435. We're starting to crack on down, guys. Just be careful out there. It is 10 o'clock. Well, a lot of times when we do see the reversal at 9:45 or 10 o'clock, where you'll get a fake out towards one way, and then at 9:45 and 10 a.m., we get a reversal of that trend, and it just kind of just fades away. Doesn't mean this is going to continue throughout the whole day, but it's one thing definitely to keep in mind. I don't know why my camera can't.
CYRN curling up here towards the high. I have an intraday high of 695. Really took a spot through 650. Let me go ahead and pull it up here for you.
Oh, sorry. Where's Ryan's screen? There it is.
right? So this is the formation we're looking at. This certainly looks like it wants higher. We have a range all the way up to 850 from the pre-market. So we're back and forth here. It's a little bit choppy. Through 650, gave it a little bit of a push here. You're seeing some more push. Let's see if we can actually take out 695 on the high here. That's what we're looking for. Still kind of hanging out around that 650 level. This would be a quick trade. This one moves around pretty quickly. So just be aware of the risk on this particular name.
All right.
All right, seeing a rejection of VWAP on MRO. I mean, oil is as trappy as can be lately, guys. So just be careful out there with the oil names.
Who was it? Bubba threw AMD in the chat. Let me put that up on my screen here. I'm not looked at AMD today. Gosh, I don't like long-term AMD is probably a stock that you can buy and not feel bad about it. I'm just, again, as I said yesterday, nothing's changed for me since yesterday. I have a hard time putting any money to work right now. I just, yesterday's bounce was so violent that I just don't. I have a hard, you know, like I said, you have a stop out. You have a level to stop you. Yesterday's low, but if you want to throw a trade on for anything, but I don't know if I can bring myself to do it right now.
All right, guys, might get stopped out in Boyle here. The spread is opening up through my risk spot, so I'm just keeping a close eye on it. Let me at least throw up my chart here on the bottom side here. Close eye on this level right now, guys. Might get stopped out here. There it goes. It just went through my level. Looking to get out here. I'll let you guys know once I get filled.
You know what? Let's throw some tunes up. Get some tunage up in here.
Out there, guys. Out there. Got 22s there, 37.22s there. Definitely got through the wrist there. Should have got up there through the 38s. It rejected twice, and that big order size started coming in there through on the 84s. Really started rejecting. Looks like we got a seller to step up there and knock us back down. Could have held a little bit through this and maybe added here on the VWAP, but with the market in kind of no decision, MRO coming back down, and you got Square breaking back down a little bit there. I was keeping an eye on Square to see if we're going to get a big rip, but more chop in this session. Again, guys, choppy markets. These are the times where I definitely don't want to be calling bottoms.
CYRN looks like it really wants to take out that 7 spot.
Yeah, is that still? Yeah, holy moly. Was there news on this today? Or what's the here? Let me go to the news.
CYRN.
Yeah, they regained compliance with the NASDAQ listing standards. That'll do it.
Yeah, and it's part of the cybersecurity theme that we're kind of seeing right now.
On the SPY trade, real quick, that 428, which was the last line of defense, it held, but I'll be honest, it's not looking pretty. So if you want to get out here at 160s, please get out. Just take a quick loss. We got in at 212. You can get out at 160. I'm going to go ahead and hold just because, you know, it's my trading style. If it breaks that 428, though, I will be out. If you want to go short AMD, it's not a bad spot. If it breaks above 118, you should get out. You're risking about 80 cents if you're going to go short.
Keeping one eye on the chat, one eye on my charts, one eye on you guys.
Boy, you're doing it all right now, Spence. Let's go.
No, I'm just perusing.
Yeah, I'll take some stocks from the chat.
Perusing.
Now. What we got out there?
Just perusing.
Ooh, interestingly enough, Chewy is at the low of days here. If Chewy comes back and tests $40, that could be a really interesting spot because it's a whole number rejection and it's around VWAP. So if Chewy comes back up to 40, I think that's a decent spot to go short. You're risking about 60 cents.
This is so interesting here this morning. So yesterday, like I felt pretty confident in saying that yesterday was the market reacting to the reality that like 8 rate hikes are off the table. And the reason I feel pretty confident in saying that is because growth tech was up and banks were not. But today there really is no trend because tech is flat to down, broadly speaking, and it's the opposite. But then you get everything else is up. Energy is up, healthcare is up, industrials, utilities, they're all up. Defensives is up. So I don't know. I'm a little bit trying to make heads or tails of this. And at the same time, I mean, you can't stray too far from the overall market, as your native been doing. And how are the Qs doing today?
All right, here we go. Spy testing VWAP.
Sorry.
You're fine. You're fine. Spy's testing VWAP around 429.62. Need this to go over 430 here.
Yeah, this is so trappy. It's confusing because when I see this certain stocks that are moving up with the market, it just doesn't make sense. It's kind of the opposite stocks that move up when the stock market goes up. So this is definitely one of those risk off days for me.
It's early yet. It's early yet. Very difficult.
Risk off type of day for me. I think these are the days that you can easily just blow up your account trying to find trades versus finding a trend.
Yeah, don't force
There
it.
is no
I think
trend.
that's one of the things you're trying to say here. If you don't see the easy trade, if you don't see what meets your trade plan or your style, just pass. Don't try to force it. You will hurt yourself.
Especially in this market. Spy being as trappy probably as can be, went through that 428, now back at VWAP, could come back up above 430s like Zunaid's kind of pointing out. That's kind of the level where it could get some drive. We'll see if it gets through there.
Yeah, here's where it gets tricky because this could be a decent spot. Oh, come on. Get over that 430 for me.
You can do it.
All right, now look, if you hated my idea and you're pissed at your grandma because you took my idea, you can get out here for a 7-cent loss right here. Those contracts are trading now at 208. We got in at 212. And now we're in profit. So now if you let this trade go green, it's on you.
Why would someone be mad at a grandma?
I don't know. I just,
if
I
anything,
don't know.
mad at you, but
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the only part of that I didn't get.
Is that a saying?
No, it's not. I would say back where I come from, but like even there, it's not. So no, not at all.
I mean, grandmas are
AMD.
known for like cooking great food and cookies and stuff. Like, why would you? I mean, what? I don't get it.
I don't know. I'll work on it. It's Friday. But Spy though, over 430. This is great. You're up. Those contracts are now trading at about 232 on the bid. So if you want to go in and get out, go in and get out. But I hope more importantly, I hope you guys understand why 428 was my last line of defense. It was mainly the fact that it was a previous close area. And I like the way that the 428 was holding earlier. You can see here in pre-market, it had a little bit of support as well.
IRNT curling back up here through 90. Looks like IRNT might try to take out 6. If it takes out 6, we probably make a run at that high. That would be my guess.
Let me bring your screen up there. Sorry.
man, all over the place today.
Kind of pulling back here. It's hard when the stocks are moving around this quickly and they're this extended. It's sometimes going to be hard to find entry. With this one here, still a ways away from the VWAP. I got VWAP at 578. So I guess that's 20 cents away here about. That would be a fairly decent entry here. But this looks like it wants to go higher.
All right, guys,
looking going to be your spot on IRNT.
Looking at this stock called EGO. It's a gold stock, Eldorado Gold Corporation. Off the VWAP here, thinking about taking 1090s. The risk would be off the support that you just got kind of confirmed there at the 83s. So we're looking at probably about 7 to 8 cent risk here. Looking for a push back above 11 to come and take out the highs.
And just so everyone knows in the chat, I said this off the top, but we're going to run with live trading till around for another half hour or so. Then I'm going to bring on Matt Nicosia from Vivacor at 10:40, and then Randall Crowder, the COO of Phunware, at 11, and then we'll go right into Benzinga Live after that. So we got Mitch's screen up now. Let's been a minute since we looked at Ryan's screen. Let's pull up Ryan's screen.
You're not missing anything. I'm still trying to hunt IRNT, and I'm keeping an eye on CYRN as well. These two are kind of moving together, but no entry right now. I'll shout it if I get it. It's going to be a quick trade though. So
Zunaid's screen up now.
Yeah, whatever stocks you guys want me to put up here, I can do that. But SPY, moving on up here. I've got the 1 minute on the left. I was going to wait for AMD to come test his VWAP on the second 10-minute candle so I could go long here. Unfortunately, it didn't give me that. But if this does come back and test the 117.62 area on AMD, I would go long via some calls. Maybe the 119, 118, 117 if you want to be in the money. It just depends on you. But let's see. I want to see a higher high on SPY, though. So far, I'm seeing lower lows or lower highs.
EVGO not holding those 80s there, so it didn't get up there to the 90s. It's trappy market. Pattern's not working right now.
IRNT rejected at VWAP here. This is one of the reasons we were going to wait for that to come into play here. So it's below VWAP. It actually tried to cross through VWAP, was rejected right at VWAP. So good to see for technical trading. Wow, they just ate a huge bid. That's what I'm saying. It's risky and it's moving around, but at this point, watching the level 2 and the VWAP level, this look big pull here on IRNT.
Thrifty's asking one of us to shill for an options platform. Zunaid uses Thinkorswim.
I use Thinkorswim, TradeStation, and E-Trade. Out of all of those, TradeStation is direct access, I believe. So,
I don't know what you're looking for, Thrifty. In terms of ease of use, you really don't get any easier than Gatsby or Robinhood, but they've limited functionality. If you're going for a little more advanced stuff.
What is Gatsby?
Gatsby?
Yeah, I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, well, now you have. It's actually the one thing I like about Gatsby is they like for total noobs, for straight beginners, it's really easy. Like they make it so they explain the options because options have their their own weird language,
of course,
but they explain it in plain English, which is nice. But I in terms of trading platform, I've only really ever used Thinkorswim for anything with options.
Yeah, I use Thinkorswim too. I actually really like the way that you can trade options on Thinkorswim. It's been a great platform for me, despite some of the issues. I've also discovered that all brokers have issues at some point. So just this week, interactive.
Watch me lose money here real quick. I'm going to grab AMD. The 118 calls. I'm grabbing the AMD 118 calls. Got filled at a $1.25. Now, why did I get into this trade? The fact that it's near VWAP and it held, right? It kind of saw some buyers come in. Now, where would I go ahead and take the risk off? The best way or the least expensive way would be if it breaks 117. For me, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to wait for a low of day break. For me, I position myself to where it's kind of like a YOLO, where I know that, hey, if I am wrong, I'll lose about 50 to 75% of my money, which is why I take a lot less contracts than I would say on a Monday or something like that, because my risk is larger. Therefore, my position is a lot smaller. But that's what I'm in. AMD 118 calls filled at a $1.25. You've got SPY here near VWAP as well, so you need that to start moving on up. Life doesn't work for us if SPY is under.
IRNT rejected at VWAP again.
Now, I know you were also looking at CYRN. $6 would be my risk off if you're going to try to get in this one. Doesn't look nice, though. It's below VWAP.
Yeah, that one kind of pulled. That one, the spot looks like 7, maybe a little bit less. 695, I think, is that spot. That's pulling here too.
Yeah, 694 was your high.
Hey Ryan.
Yep.
A1 Property was looking for the video recording from yesterday's happy hour Zoom, and didn't see it.
It was. I actually just spoke with Serena, who sent that this morning. This was sent, looks like 14 minutes ago. Spencer, if you could do me a favor and throw my email in the chat. Since I'm not logged in here, I can't type. Go ahead and give them my email. I think you said it was A1 Properties. Did I get the name right? Yeah. Go ahead and email me. I'd be happy to give you that link.
I have to go into my email and confirm what your email is. Okay,
It's
Ryan,
my name. At
I got it now. I got
Okay,
it.
you don't have to get it testy. It's all right.
Boom. Got it.
It's like I know
Beat
people's
ya.
emails.
I beat you to the punch.
I don't know people's emails off the top of my head. Sorry. Some people here.
Neither do
Is
I.
it your full name? Is it your full name?
Yeah, but
Yes.
some of us have like periods in there. Like
I
the
deleted
first. Nate. So
Oh
not
my
helpful.
goodness.
Well, for me, it's just my name.
See, that's what I'm talking
is the
about.
ante to
That's
play.
what I'm talking about. Inconsistent naming conventions here. Okay.
Inconsistent naming conventions here is what Spencer just
But
said.
to be fair, you can't just have Ryan at Benzinga because like it's a kind of a more common name than mine.
We
So
have
I get
several
it.
Ryans here.
Yeah, no,
And
I
they're
get
all
it.
awesome.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks to whoever just mentioned Lisa Leia, Lockheed Martin. Yeah, we are now above whatever sort of resistance you had up there. We are firmly above that now. Gosh, Lockheed Martin. So let's go around the horn here. We got our Lockheed Martin breaking out. We got RTX. Yeah. Oh, look at that RTX chart. That looks juicy. Well, what's that high from the 10th? What's that high? 96.96. We're a buck away. That looks juicy. That looks very juicy. So Lockheed Martin RTX LHX is your other one. L3 Harris. Did break above yesterday's range for a brief moment, but we're now below that now. Chart does not look nearly as juicy here. And then what's your last one? Lockheed, L3, Raytheon, and Northrop Grumman, NOC. Those are your four big defense contractors, quote unquote military stocks. You can also maybe add Boeing to that list if you want. But that RTX chart looks juicy. So maybe this is an exception to my unwillingness to take any swing longs right now. This Raytheon chart looks like it wants to get above 97. And if it does, I mean, heck, what's the all-time high? The all-time high in this stock was from pre-COVID, 99.70. I like following the trend, and when you're at all-time highs, tend to get more all-time highs. Truthfully, doesn't sound like it makes sense. You feel like you'd rather buy a stock when it's lower, so you get it on sale. No, not necessarily.
Not easy to do that all the time.
Oh, and
too.
thank you, Jay. I forgot GD, General Dynamics. That's the fifth one. Oh yeah, is that an all-time high? Close to it. Series of highs at the 225 area. We're at 223 right now. So a couple of these names now looking to breach all-time highs.
And real quick, long IRNT here, 581 stop VIVA. Oh my God, I got stopped out so fast.
Oh,
that sucked.
wow.
That sucked. Minus $70 on that trade, unfortunately. That was really rough, right? They pulled it through the VWAP, they held it through the VWAP, and then they pulled it right back through the VWAP, which was my stop, and flushed me out. So that's unfortunate. We'll see if this sets up again here. Really kind of hanging out around this VWAP. Volume is not expanding, so this will probably be a risk off.
All right, real fast, guys. I have to step away for it. I'll be back in like a minute and a half. I'll be right back.
Can anyone else control the screens here with him gone?
Yes,
Nope.
Aaron Thomas can, and he's here with you. So just
Okay.
tell him, and he can do it.
All right, guys, let's go ahead. Let's do this. Let's take a look here. I'm looking at some defensive plays. Procter and Gamble doing well right now. So if you're looking at those defensive plays, I guess now war makes sense. The defensive plays go up. Honestly, this is just how it is sometimes in the market, guys. Sometimes the market is illogical and sometimes it's logical, and that doesn't necessarily determine where the stocks are going to go. So to me, I think this is one of those points where it's just flipping and flipping. So it's kind of hard to take those trades today. But thinking about taking this shot in EGO here, but I need to see kind of the SPY turn around there. It's just the SPY's pushing now through the 430s. It just doesn't make sense. Certain plays are going up when the market is going up, and then certain plays are going down. Kind of opposite, at least to the SPY, I see.
SPY is definitely going up, like you said. It touched the 431. Now that was the previous. Not really. Never mind. I need to go a little more left. But those contracts that we got at 212 are now trading at about 245. So get out, scale out. That's about $30 or so in your favor. AMD starting to push a little bit here as well. We got into those contracts at $125, now trading at about $138. on the ask. So that's nothing to write home about.
pushing
But
here
yeah,
too, Junaid. FCX pushing here. I'm not in it, but it's moving.
FCX.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
it
a
is.
copper play.
Damn, nice. Look at the way that it held the previous close right at the opening 10-minute
Yep.
candle, and then it just started moving on up. You see that it tested VWAP, and then it kind of kept on boosting up. Let's go.
Yeah,
And here comes IRNT back through VWAP. So that's that, man. What a frustrating trade that is. Shook me out, pulled it. Let me go back here, CY or IRNT. Tough to trade these suckers. Flushed me right out of on the VWAP, and then just now it's taken off.
Had one of the best trades of the day, called it out, didn't execute. This is one of those days where I just get annoyed at myself. If you look at X, one of the best trades of the day, should have nailed that. And that's why I won't be in the green probably today. It happens.
Didn't you hit Boyle though? Didn't you hit Boyle at least on half of that? I know you got stopped
No.
the second half.
No, I didn't even get the first half out.
The Widowmaker, man. Careful with that natty gas.
You've got SPY coming down too. Strong rejection from 431 for now.
It's just a confusing market there. Definitely should have taken that X trade right out the gates. Was looking at it, but wasn't watching it on the first pop. Missed the VWAP bounce. And then I wanted to take 25 20s, but never took it. Wanted it to come back to 25, and there you guys have it. Up there to now to 25 90s. Could be more than a point win from the gates there. So definitely failed on execution, even though you can have the perfect plan, know the area that you're looking at, know the entry points. If you don't execute, guess what? You get left like me today with the FOMO.
IRNT trying to break 6.
What a bummer that is.
All right, guys, I'm just going to take this shot here. I'm going to take one more shot for us before we get on out of here. So I'm going to go with this EGO. I've been watching the price action. It's been rejecting to get through the 80s there. So I just took a decent sizing there. At 88 is my average there. So looks like I got a little bit of a bad fill compared to what was going on there. So let's see if we can get through here. Definitely jumped in there with the +3 on the limit there. So not the best fill there, but we'll see if we can hold it towards the 80s now. Look for a break on out. So 9 cent risk. Let's see if this starts popping. Very small risk. Let's see if it goes going. What got me excited about this was seeing some other gold plays pick on up. I already sold this one, but AU pushing through the VWAP there. Was taking a look at gold to see if it was going to come off the bottom there. Now you're seeing it start pushing. So that's why I'm going after this gold play, kind of an industry laggard. We'll see what happens.
Real quick, I'm going to get out half my size here on those SPY calls. Got out at $2.80. Again, Phil was at 212, out at 280, half size. The rest, we're going to see what happens if it goes below VWAP or if it continues its march towards 433s.
What I miss? Anything?
Just hanging.
Just hanging? Just chilling?
Yeah, we're hanging.
All right. Cool.
We did get half. I guess we got out of half our size on SPY calls for a profit as SPY started going up towards 431s. And AMD is looking nice here as well. You can see a little bit of a crayon usage of mine right here, right? Hoping for that trend to continue, hoping for VWAP to hold, and the break of 119 would be solid. I think 119.50 was the pre-market high. Yep, right around there.
Wait, hold on. I just want to clarify something from the chat. Movanich, are you saying, is that new news? Because that headline was out from Russian state media 3 hours ago.
Yeah, I think that was this morning.
So I'm trying to understand if that comment in the chat is something new or if that's not new. Because if it is new, and if it's, frankly, I mean, this is how confusing this market is right now. That headline hit the tape, that the headline dropped at like 7:35 a.m. Eastern this morning or whatever, 7:45, and the market like just started rallying off of a headline from state media, which I can't remember a time where the market took any state media, China or Russia or otherwise, that seriously before. So I don't know what to make of this. Oh, they're saying it's new. They're saying it's all right. So okay. So Now you have posturing, political posturing through the press that people want to meet. That's good news, obviously. Just forget the markets for a minute. That's just good news in general. Good news for the world. But I will believe it when I see it. How about that?
Yeah, I mean, I have a feeling that those terms are not as nice to Ukraine as possible. So let's just say that. I don't think they're trying to say, oh, yeah, we're just going to back on out. So MRO is one that I'll keep on watch today, guys. It is going sideways there. We'll see if it takes out the high 22s. You could be going after it here. I'm not even going to touch it because I have no idea where oil is going to go today. Not going to try to guess here, but definitely it is setting up for a bullish trend. The question is, do you get that bullish trend to continue? We'll see. EGO did up about 3 cents now on that. Let's see if we really start pushing. It did get back towards VWAP, so we'll see if that we can get moving. That's EGO. AU is looking nice, at least gold play that is starting to pop there. So take a look at that. And then the SPY. The SPY is just something else, guys. It's going up right now. But, I mean, there's certain stocks that I just don't understand why we're pushing on up there. Consumer defensives leading us today. Technology down on the day. So it's just confusing right now.
That's the word of the week in terms of the market is confusing. That's
100%.
That's the bottom line here. It's just extremely confusing.
Yeah, and you got to be careful in times like that. I always say, the market's going to continue being irrational as longer than you can be solvent. That quote right there is definitely something that can save you money, guys. If you're not finding some rationalness to the market, your patterns are not matching up, your data's not telling you to push on the risk side, that shows you that, hey, it's very important to know when to put the brake and when to push the gas in trading. I think this is one of those times that maybe the brake button needs to be held a little bit.
Rally today seems to be in the industrial sector, right? I mean, look at the Dow, that's up almost, just over 1%. NASDAQ is flat. So I don't know. Seems like the SPY's flat. It seems like the rally is in the industrial stocks today.
Yeah, you got railroads up, shipping up, infrastructure operations, airports, airlines doing well today also. Let's take a look there at American Airlines. I was looking for a pullback on it, see if we get back here towards 17. Yeah, it doesn't look bad. It is setting up there for a trade back above VWAP. If it gets back above VWAP, you could look for an attempt here to get in on that past the 1725s. Risk would be probably closer towards the 17 there. We'll see if it gets moving there. I am getting a little pop in EGO. Let's see if we can get it through the 11s and up there towards the 1110. Reopening trade is not looking the worst. CCL I also saw was having a decent day. Let's see where it's at now. Let's see if this starts popping through the 21. That's what I would be looking for if you're looking for the long above that 21. It should get some lift.
SPY out some more contracts here at 348.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Wow. Would you guys check on Clove? CLOV. Yes, we can. Sustra. Let me bring it up on my screen right now. CLOV. Well, beaten down name, had earnings. What was it, yesterday or the day before now?
That's a Chamath name, isn't it?
Yes, former SPAC. Look, long term, I think the trend speaks for itself. A lot of these, I dare say the majority of these kinds of stocks are not going to come back to their all-time highs and not make new highs again. But that does not mean you can't make money in the short term. I don't know what your leader is here, because Clove is one of many beaten down names that has had a nice little run here in the last day and change.
IRNT through 6.
Wow.
Oh, that's frustrating.
That sucks.
It got me today. Yeah. No, I mean, that's just sometimes that happens.
And that stinks.
Sometimes that happens. It would have been a nice couple $100.
So just to finish my thoughts on Clove. Again, normally I would love to be able to identify like the leader and say, oh, like all these stocks are going to follow whatever Tesla is doing or whatever someone's doing. I don't know who that leader is, if it even exists at the moment. So I'll just say expect more upside until otherwise proven, right? Until shown otherwise. So you've got, the high from yesterday, from the after hours session on the earnings report was 228. No, not 228. I can't read. 260, 267. So there's your next level of resistance, and it's going to be an uphill battle. If you're in this for the long term, good luck. But
we're pushing, guys. I would have never traded, but hey, I mean, power to you if you're getting.
And then Jay is asking, as usual, the ultimate question, right? Who really actually, I would play this question on both sides. Who wants to hold over the weekend? If you're long or if you're short, do you want to hold things over the weekend? I don't think you do.
Yeah.
Hold
I
my
don't think
beer.
you do on either side.
If you're asking me to choose one, I'd rather hold long where I'm not exposed.
Zunaid would rather we hold his beer for him. But I don't think anybody, frankly, wants to hold. Although maybe that's just my own projection. Oh, I guess we'll find out. We'll find out at 3:45. How about that? We'll find out at 3:45 when we are in the midst of the final few minutes of the session, what the sentiment is out there. But yeah, it is a great question.
In the chat asking, are you guys holding AU to swing? I already did the swing on AU. That's fully closed on out. So you could look at it, but man, AU has some swings there in the price. If you look at it and look at the last couple of days, you were up there at 24 yesterday. You're at 21.90s right now.
I think IRNT is going to take out this 627 at some point.
I think this market is just a trap.
It's a trap. Say it, Nick.
It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Yes.
It's a trap.
Wait, I just want to correct the record because I misspoke earlier. I said we're gonna have Vivacor on at 11 at 10:40 and Phunware on at 11. Nope, flip it and reverse it. We're gonna have Randall Crowder from Phunware on at 10:40, so in about 7 minutes, and Matt Nicosia from Vivacor at 11. So my mistake. I misspoke there.
All right, guys, just not feeling it today, guys. Honestly, I could stay in this EV go, but I'm just going to get out here, break even. Just not feeling it, guys.
I hear you.
And when I'm not feeling it, one of the things that I've always said is when you're not in the zone, don't try to act like you're in the zone because that's an easy way to give the money back. Right now, I'm not in the zone normally, and I've been in the zone for like 2 to 3 weeks, killing it. Right now, not the time. Hands in the pocket, saving the money. We'll worry about some other day to trade. Today's not that day.
Yep, I think that's a pretty good general sentiment here.
Yeah, it's just up and down moves. And I mean, for the SPY to continue moving on up 2 days in a row after war, it just doesn't make sense for me. But I mean, hey.
IRNT, nice.
I guess war is positive now.
Also watch IMPP on this 165 spot. If they take 165 down, this thing's popping. I'm in right now for that. Stop going to be 160 on the downside. IMPP, big sell wall here at 165. They're chomping it already. If they take that down, this is popping, and I will be out on that push up.
All right. 5 more minutes till I bring on Randall Crowder, the COO of Phunware, ticker PHUN. So we're going to wrap it up here in a little bit with Ryan, Zunaid, and Mitch. These guys are live every single weekday, Monday through Thursday, typically after pre-market prep, 9:05 till 10:30, 11, 11:30 some days. So give them the love that they deserve. And smash that like button.
I got one last one.
IMPP, and I am out. That was a sweet trade. Let's
go. Loving
there
it.
Finally got one of those back after getting smoked or losing on IRNT. I didn't get smoked.
All right.
Okay,
Last stock I'd mentioned that I did miss today is a good VWAP bounce opportunity was TAP out the gates. Was watching this one, alerted this stock 2 days ago when we started pushing out through the 50. Today was a nice level to grab that 50. You got that push right here, nice sideways action. And from those levels, you've actually pushed up significantly. So TAP is a good one to watch right now. Look at these strong candles. This is what I was looking for, break through that high. Look at that. That's a really nice setup there now in TAP. So if you're looking at this one, or maybe you look for a laggard, maybe Sam just starts finally catching a bid there. Maybe look for a move on a laggard type of trade on Sam.
All right.
I
Wasn't
need some beer. That's what I'm pretty much saying.
Yeah. I hear you. And as I said to open pre-market prep this morning, like, thank God it's Friday. I'm so happy. I haven't been this excited for. I don't even have any weekend plans. It's not even about that. It's just about I hope the news flow like lightens up over the weekend. Maybe that hope is naive, but
Spencer, it's okay. Acceptable weekend plans can be as simple as I'm gonna chill on my couch. Like, that's it. You don't need any more elaborate.
No, good times.
Especially after this week.
This is like a big like errands weekend. I gotta buy new sneakers. I gotta go to the store.
Oh, right.
all
You're
that crap.
married. Right. Okay.
I'm not married yet.
Engaged?
Yes.
Engaged.
Actually, so is our next guest. Funnily enough, Randall Crowder and I are planning adjacent weddings. We're actually gonna have them in the same building at the same time. No, we're not. That would be weird though.
What an introduction.
That would be weird.
How do you top that?
I don't know. All right, Ryan, Zunaid, Mitch, thank you all for joining us today on All Access. Maybe we do this again when we do like a combo show where it's like we fold live trading into the All Access program. But guys, look at the thumbs up on Mitch.
Hit those likes, guys. At least drown me because I can't win today. At least drown me in some likes.
Oh, Mitch. So that's the thing, Spencer. We'll do this anytime. You got three guys that love the market.
Right. Mitch is gone. Mitch is he drowned. He drowned. Anyway. All right. Zunaid, Ryan.
See ya.
A pleasure as always, guys. Good luck out there.
Have a great weekend, folks.
Stay green. All right. Let's bring on our next guest, a guest that y'all know. I imagine most of you are here for, frankly. I know you're not here for me. Randall Crowder, the COO of Phunware, ticker, as I said, PHUN. Let's get Randall on the show right now. Randall, welcome to the jungle. How are we doing today?
I'm doing well. My entrance could never, top that exit. Mitch's exit was that was pretty impressive. I got to step up my game, I think.
The story of my life, man. It's got to step up my game. All right. I imagine, Randall, that most of our viewers here are, at the very least, and let me turn off the music here. It's going to be a little bit distracting. I would imagine that most of our viewers are familiar with Phunware, at the very least, the stock. But for those, I never want to assume that everyone knows everything. So for those that don't know, can you just very briefly just explain the business of Phunware?
Perfect. So started in 2009, mobile software company. Helped large brands establish a mobile presence. Built the first NFL app, NASCAR app, all of Fox's apps. Obviously, we built Trump's presidential app in 2020. So all we did when we did mobile was how do we better engage your customer? And so it wasn't just consuming content, it wasn't just fighting with people on social, but it's how do we gamify everything? That's where the name came from. As a play on words, obviously, with fun, but it was applications that exhibit game-like mechanics and behavior. That was our first kind of line of business. And we evolved that and we started doing data-enriched media. So it's like if we have software and we can engage you, we can find you and engage you, how can we reach more of you? So we had data-enriched media business. Now, more recently, we have a blockchain business. And so if I can find you, engage you, I can reach more of you. Now I want to basically authenticate who I'm talking to, who I'm trying to engage. We have FunCoin to do that. I also might want to incentivize that engagement. I really think engaging you is valuable. I might be willing to pay you for that. Now we have Fun Token to do that. Fun Wallet to manage all of that. And the long-term goal is to establish a decentralized data economy. And so we needed some hardware to do that. So our fourth business unit is Light Technology, which is high performance computing. Everybody always kind of scratches their head with that last one. We can talk about it more. But look, if you love Bitcoin, you love high performance computers, because that's the only reason you can Bitcoin. So
I do want to, since you mentioned Light, I do want to talk about that. So you just closed that acquisition of Light, what, a couple months ago now?
yeah, Q4.
Okay, so tell us about that. What does Light do? But more importantly, what does it do for your business?
Yeah, so think about, most people are familiar with Alienware, so think of it like a smaller upstart that kind of does something similar. When you think about high performance computers, you kind of have a couple of personas. You have gamers, traders, streamers, and more recently kind of miners. But really, I mean, the more meta theme here is, if you enjoy software, you love hardware. Software exists at the pleasure of hardware. And a lot of some of the most valuable companies on the planet understood that in a very real way. The only reason you have AWS and all this great cloud infrastructure is because Amazon made the investment to put hardware into data centers all over the world. Only reason we have Bitcoin, like I said, is because somebody made the investment to shove a bunch of high performance computers into warehouses to give us Bitcoin. And so for us, we want to control our value chain. We want to control our infrastructure for what comes next. Doesn't come next tomorrow, but someone will decentralize data, just like cryptocurrencies are trying to decentralize finance. And so to do that, you really need these high performance computers, but we didn't want to shove them in a data center. We want them spread out all over the world. That's true decentralization. What people are missing about what's happening in crypto right now is you have a bunch of points of failure and centralized authorities in the mix. So you have exchanges or you have data centers, and all of those are vulnerable. But what if you could replicate all of that same computing power with just individual computers in houses all over the world and create the exact same capability to interface with kind of this Web3 concept, but Web2 data? That's what Light's going to give us. So hundreds of thousands, millions of computers all over the world running software that will allow us to actually support a decentralized data economy.
Had you considered actually building it yourself?
We don't need to. We just announced this in a press release Q1 this year. We had some very unique strategic relationships that kind of would address supply chain for us. And so for us, it's just faster. The real end game is just to get these high performance computers into homes all over the world of people who are our target market anyways. We love the traders, obviously, gamers. Gaming has led, a lot of what you're seeing in crypto and what you'll see in the metaverse as well. And so, these are also our target customers that we want to engage. They can actually help, become a liquidity provider in DeFi, or can help, actually do some things and some testing for some proofs of concepts that we're rolling out. So all we need to do is load our software, load our capabilities onto these computers. That would be a bridge too far. We're brazen and brave, and we're getting into hardware when everybody kind of wonders, what's this whole, position with hardware. But it would be a little bit too far to go full semiconductor and let's build our own computers. We're just taking the parts together. We're an integrator effectively and distributing those, and it's going really well. So it's also a good profitable business unit for us.
I'm just trying to understand where. What gets most of your attention? Where is most of the growth? Because traditional software company, you guys build apps. That's easy to understand. You've got this hardware business that you just got into. You've got a crypto business. You're doing the wallet. You've got PHUN token. It's a lot of balls in the air, and I'm just trying to understand where what gets more of your focus right now.
A lot of people knows about me. So small brief interlude to say, praying for everybody in Ukraine. I know you mentioned we should maybe think about a combined wedding. No, I'm just kidding. She'd kill me, but she is Ukrainian, and so we have a lot of ties back to that. And so I wanted to just send prayers and thoughts out to everybody out there, and a huge respect to the families of everybody who died on Snake Island. That's some ballsy shit right there, and I couldn't be more impressed. I mean, that's Alamo, Thermopylae kind of stuff. Incredible, and because it's largely not a strategic value, but watching people take a stand like that, which is going to be largely symbolic, that kind of stuff galvanizes the nation. And it's just, I would be remiss if I didn't, take a moment to say, we're thinking about you, and a lot of people are rooting for Ukraine and hoping that this thing ends quickly. But kind of back to your question. So, I spent, after the military, I actually spent a long time in venture capital. And every single time, you talk to an angel or a venture investor, they all want to invest in Uber, but then every time they talk to, you know, some entrepreneur who's trying to change the world, they say, whoa, 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 high speed, you're doing too much. Why don't you focus? Google's doing that. Stop, you're doing too much. Well, okay, what do you want? You want to change the world, or do you want to play it safe? So we're not here to play it safe. I didn't give up being a venture capitalist to be at Phunware and do something small. And so we're swinging for the fences. So every piece of what we have has never been a pivot. It's actually been accretive to one common goal. You know, so this idea of a decentralized data economy in a mobile first world is what all four pieces of our business actually will serve. So again, we think about it. So we got our start building mobile software. So I have mobile architecture that you can license that'll help you engage your customers better. So now I can engage you. Well, part of our mobile architecture is location. So I can engage you not only outdoors, but also indoors. So when you're in a mall, hospital, a hotel, a retail, anywhere, I can engage you both outdoors with GPS and indoors with our location software. Absolutely. So we're industry agnostic, so we have a smart hospitality solution. We're actually launching that at Atlantis in the Bahamas right now. Smart city. We launched our first smart city with Pasadena. Healthcare, Virginia Hospital Center is one of our more recent deployments. Smart workplace. Norfolk Southern is raising the bar for what it means to tech enable the employee experience. And then residential, we do a lot with kind of mixed use residential, things like that. The cool thing about all this, these are not custom apps. These are built on mass, multi-screen as a service, our software architecture that will allow you to license software for mobile the same way you would license a CRM from Salesforce. That's a game changer. When we were doing custom apps, we were getting 20, 30% gross margin. Now we can deploy them faster and with more features and closer to 75% gross margin. So that's that software business. So I can better engage my customers. I can tech enable those journeys. Great. Well, what's happening with data right now is revolutionary and nobody's paying attention. Cookies going away, pixels are going away. Anybody who's ever tried to sell something on Facebook or Facebook themselves, because they just reported earnings, they now understand that the world is tilted on its axis and it's no longer easy to track people and surveil people and use their data and target them. So the holy grail in data right now is first party data, but you have to manage consent. That's what our software was designed to do in the first place. That's what our, both our data business and our crypto business is designed to do. It's designed to take people, first party, say, hey, I want you to share information with me and I'm going to pay you for it. Simple as that. Someone's making money on your data. Why shouldn't it be you? I'm not trying to hide you from the dark web. I'm not trying to hide you from brands. I'm trying to create a new relationship that puts consumers in control. So every time you like something, share something, click something, do something, you're educating a data set about who you are and what's important to you and actually where you are and what's around you. So we want to basically blockchain enable that whole thing. So if I can find you with my software, now I can authenticate you with crypto. And if I think that what you're doing is valuable to me as a company, I'll even incentivize you to engage with me. Now, take all of that, and if we can create a system that allows people to hygiene and sanitize their own data, and they're getting paid for it, so they're enjoying it, they're keeping their data current, and we're actually contributing to the reason why they're keeping it current because they're getting paid for it. And now they're engaging with brands in a new, unique way that puts them in control. They decide what they want to share and who they want to engage with.
Right.
You can begin to create a data set that is more valuable. Then we want to just decentralize it. So we don't want to hold all that data. We want to totally create a different model, which is called a decentralized Oracle network. And that's light. That's where they'll come into play.
All right, so maybe I should have rephrased that question if it is all part of a larger mission and it all gets your attention. But in terms of the business today, and then actually it's two questions: the business today and the business like 3 years from now.
Yeah.
What generates most of your revenue right now, and how do you see that mix changing?
Yeah, right now coming out of last year, it's still software. At our core, we're still a software business, and people should view us as that. So software as a service, but with a focus on mobile. And so all of the, the industries that you just showed, that's where a lot of our activity is today. It's, tech enabling the continuum of care for hospitals. It's hospitality like Atlantis wanting to say, look, I got to better engage my customers. I got to drive more profitability. So everybody's doing that. And what people don't understand is a lot of this is like what we've seen in Hollywood, but you've never actually experienced in the real world because it's really hard. We raised over $100 million as a private company to build this. And so it's a very big challenge, but it's simple stuff. It's using your phone to open, the door to your hotel room, using your phone to access elevators, using your phone to do vendor credentialing, or be able to order catering if you're sitting in a conference room, but not have to actually like deal with a bunch of different vendors and a bunch of different logins. So we take, and this is a really important point for Phunware. The cool thing about what we do is we're not one mobile application to replace them all. We're one mobile application to rule them all. So when people work with us, they might have other vendors doing different things, but they've got 10 different systems, 10 different vendors. None were meant to be interoperable. We basically ingest all that into one common architecture. And so that way you have one app and you can access different parts of your business seamlessly with a swipe of a thumb.
What is the biggest roadblock right now? If you don't succeed, why would that have happened?
Great question. So one of the things I used to always ask as a VC was, how are you changing customer behavior? And it wasn't, entrepreneurs always think that's a softball question. Anybody here starting a company that gets asked that, it's a trick question. Changing customer behavior is hard. And it takes a long time. And there's a marketing component to it. There's a customer education component to it. It's why, I'm really proud of what the stock is doing. We've had to build a community around Phunware and the stock to educate people, what we do. And so if we did fail, it's because people don't know that this is even possible. You see it in Minority Report, where Tom Cruise is walking down the mall and all the advertisements are personalizing to him, and it looks super cool, but that's easy to do in CGI. You don't see it in the real world because it's really, really hard. And I know because we've delivered it. And so we can now do that, but instead of scanning a retina, we can do it with your phone. And so a lot of people, our decision makers, they don't know to go to the internet and Google, real world Minority Report company. They don't know, hey, I need to make an investment in hardware, software, firmware. Oh, I also need to make an investment in Phunware. So we've got to get out there and tell them. We've got to tell them that not only is it possible, but it's actually affordable. And here's how it's going to change your business, and here's how it's going to drive, profitability for your business. And so that's incumbent upon us. That takes time. It's like Uber, trying to explain to people to get into a stranger's car. That was really tough for a few years. Now people don't think twice about it. So in a few years, everything that you buy will be Amazon enabled, and every experience you have will be Phunware enabled.
Pat brings up a good point in the chat about small businesses. What is the cost here for the end customer? Because you mentioned things like the NFL, these billion major hospitals, these $100 million / billion-dollar corporations can easily afford to take a risk on building a new app like yours. But for the mid tier and for the SMBs out there, the small medium-sized businesses, I mean, is there a path for them here, or are you just is this not for them?
Yeah, no, there really is. So our core customer, our target customer, is still going to always be kind of the Fortune 500s of that ilk. However, think about you showed it just a second ago, the city of Pasadena. Obviously cities don't have huge budgets. Because we've built our mobile application the way we do, we have light versions, pun intended. We have smaller versions that you can actually, give you a lot of the features, but we can give it to you at a better price point. So Smart City and our advocacy solution, our political vertical, both of those can come at different price points. More like $5,000-$10,000 a month, something that can actually be affordable. And then what we're doing, which is really cool, and this is where Phunwallet comes into play, we're going to use Phunwallet to actually address a lot of the SMB market. So think about OpenTable. You have OpenTable who can do reservations. They can give you the features of a native application, but all you have is a profile on their application. Phunwallet is already pre-integrated with all of the features that we deliver to Fortune 500 companies. But if you don't need an application, like you're a restaurant or a smaller business, but you want all the engagement features, in an upcoming release, you'll now be able to establish a profile in Phunware that'll look like you have your own mobile application. And now you'll be able to access all our architecture, which that's really cool. I'm really excited about that.
If there are any questions for Randall, you have a couple minutes to get your questions in, and then we're going to wrap it up. And I feel like we always do have questions for you, Randall, whenever you come on, because as you know, and I know, as we all know, I mean, the stock has this giant community behind it. And I'm sort of, frankly, it confuses me why any stock would have any community behind it. Not you, it's any stock, but you've got these people that have rallied behind your company and your stock. I guess.
Thank you. Honestly, I'm gonna say thank you to them first of all. I mean, you look at like what happened just yesterday. You announce war. Stock drops. Precipitously. Down to I think around 220, and then immediately rebounds. The minute markets open, people are like, "Oh my God, this is a steal," and that's because of the community. And I think what a lot of CEOs, COOs don't do, they have too much of an ivory tower mentality. They're not. Maybe they're not as excited about their company as we are. Maybe they're not doing something that can kind of, fascinate and excite people. But I would encourage every leader to be as transparent as you can within the rules and within the regulations, but be accessible. I think people appreciate that we try to be as accessible as we can. You can't follow just a name or a picture on Twitter. People want to follow people. And we try to do that.
Why do you suppose though that your stock has just gathered this massive following?
I would say because we've been doing this for a long time. There's some people who were in Phunware for 2 years, just holding the line, being patient, believing where we were going to go in the vision. I still get emails from them saying, I've gotten multiple screenshots of 7-figure balances, last October. Like, last October was the greatest day of my life. Like, you literally, from going from $1 to $24 in a day, I'll never be able to thank you enough. Like, my parents can retire now. And that's awesome. That's a great feeling. And so, I think people, have been around. We've been building this community for a long time. It's not like an overnight success story. We have had a horrible time going public. We didn't take any money when we went public. We got kind of screwed by the SEC, and we ended up having a bunch of warrants get dumped on our stock that crashed the stock price. And we've been fighting our way back out of that. And it made the company better, made the company stronger. But I think people resonate with kind of our irreverence, but also our passion and our ability to kind of see this through. We've been through it all. And so I think, we're absolutely going to be successful, and we're in it with all of our shareholders. We all have significant skin in the game. None of us are walking away. We've been doing this for a decade together, and the best is yet to come. 100%.
Umair in the chat is asking about your cash reserves and how comfortable you are and the potential need to raise any money should that be a thing.
Yeah, very comfortable. So, when we kind of the guidance that we kind of put out into Q4, and then we'll report, earnings and kind of towards the end of March here. So coming around to be able to talk about the full year. But, we obviously told people that we expected to do 100% growth in revenue in Q4. We had a $60 million war chest. And so, I think that was always a concern in the past, was the balance sheet. Now that's not a concern at all. We have, operational runway without the need for any new financing events. We have an ATM in place. We always do. I think that's just good housekeeping. So if a stock did run to $24 again, you can take advantage of that kind of liquidity in the market. But we have no intention of doing any institutional financing, any dilution events in that manner whatsoever, just because we don't need to.
ATM just being at the market offering, just so
correct.
Or a shelf offering where you
correct.
reserve the right to issue new shares should the market give you the chance to.
I always forget. I love the education, and that's why we had the $60 million that we reported last. Was back in October when it had all that liquidity in the market, we were able to address all the balance sheet concerns that people had. So I think we're at an inflection point for sure. Absolutely.
Well, last one here, and I know this is coming from Eduardo. Is PHUN involved with the Truth app?
love these questions. So, a lot of people don't realize, the reason why I always tell people we did all of Fox's mobile application portfolio is because nobody knows that. We did the design, we did the program management, the development, all the support and maintenance. Live Nation, Fox Sports, everything that you saw with Fox was Phunware, and we couldn't talk about any of it. And so, no matter what, we will always adhere to the confidentiality agreements on all of our deals with all of our customers and respect that. But we will always try to be as transparent as possible when we can come to the table with how we get involved with companies, when we get involved with companies. But you'll notice with Carrier as well, we have a massive indirect channel partnership with $20 billion Carrier traded on the New York Stock Exchange, and we don't talk about that either. We don't put that on any press. We're working with them to talk about kind of the go-to-market around that. So we'll always be respectful. I know it's kind of annoying, but we absolutely plan to play in a big way in the political sphere. And we want to enable, tech-enabled politics. Really what we want to do is be able to engage voters better and engage constituencies with the right information. And so we'll announce more on how we're doing that as the year progresses.
A great answer, non-answer. Randall Crowder is the COO of Phunware. Randall, it is always a pleasure. Man, how's your chest doing, by the way? You doing all good there?
It's good. I would tell people if you ever, rip your, if you ever if you ever rip your chest off the humerus, absolutely get it surgically repaired, because it is the way to go. Right now, I feel good.
All right, great. Thanks for joining us today, Randall.
Thanks a lot, Spence.
All right, guys. First of all, smash the like for Randall. Second of all, my next guest and our final guest of the day. This one is super interesting. So my next guest, Matt Nicosia, he was an investor in this company and ended up, and we'll talk to Matt about this. He ended up he went from being just a regular investor, and now he's the CEO of the company. So it's always a really interesting tale how that happens. Really interesting story. So I'm going to bring on Matt Nicosia right now, the CEO chairman of Vivacor, and I want to find out exactly how he went from investor to I'm going to be the CEO and chairman of this company. So let's bring Matt on the show right now. Matt, welcome to All Access. Unmute your mic there. How are we doing today?
Doing great. Thank you, Spence. Really appreciate it.
So tell us about this. In 2008, I understand you invested in this company, in Vivacor, and then what happened there?
Well, 2008, I was one of the larger investors. We took an interest in the company because it had a lot of great technology. And the idea was they're going to develop all these wonderful, great things. But as the market continued to evolve, 2008 kicked in, and I found myself in a position to take a look at the assets and decide, what do we do? So we chose to convert. We chose to take a large shareholder position, stay as chairman, became chairman, and then took over as CEO. Looked at the assets of the company and said, okay, here's ones we're going to focus on. And they had some really interesting things around nano vaporization, metallic vaporization, which at the time was really exciting. As we said, there's a huge need for something in the future from a precious metals, from a natural resource value. And that's how we ended up down this new path of Vivacor, which is how do we effectively extract natural resources in a clean way for the future of the world.
All right, so let's back it up and explain what Vivacor actually does.
So Vivacor is currently we are a clean energy technology company. We're focusing on how we create technologies to extract natural resources, specifically oil, hydrocarbons, other types of we'll call them natural resources, out of waste. So one of our big projects that we focus on is how do we take oil out of Mother Nature's mess, whether it be oil sands and human mess from war, quite frankly, from the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait. We're actually one of the companies processing the heavy sludge that's still there from 30 years ago. And how do you make both useful, the soil and the oil?
So let's get into that then. How do you do that? What kind of IP or technology here do you have?
Sure. So Vivacor we actually have a slew of patents from different resources around extraction of natural resources. We have two specific patents that were granted by the USPT last year around we call our remediation processing centers, or RPCs. And what they do is there's a three-phase system on these that we physically, with chemicals, cause a separation of dirt, soil, organic material from hydrocarbons. Then we put them through a proprietary centrifuge system that separates the solids from the liquids. And now you got this liquid material. And then with the liquid material, which is a mix of solvent and the oil, we then put it through a flash system, which allows us to customize and separate, pull back our solvents so we can recycle it over and over again, and now create an end product which we can sell. In some places, we're not just selling oil, we're selling asphalt for roads. So think of it taking waste of today for some of the roads of the future.
What? Let's go. Let's run the gamut here. What is go through every use case here?
Sure. Well, we'll fine tune into three main use cases.
Okay.
One would be an oil sands. So oil sands are naturally occurring Mother Nature's mess that are surface. The state of Utah, which we do have operations in according to the U.S. Geological Society and the Utah Geological Society, they've got roughly 26 to 28 billion barrels trapped in surface oil sands. That's like less than 1,000 feet, and you can't do anything with the land. Now, sometimes you don't want to disturb it, but most of it is just dead land. So we can take that material, mine it, clean it. And what we've been able to do, the first ones to do this is the first key piece. We've been able to take this material, not just make a crude product, but actually make an performance grade asphalt, which is huge for the entire Intermountain West because now you've got an asphalt source for roads, which can service that huge area. So that's one use case. And you can look at other oil sands operations around the world, mainly, even Canada. We don't operate in Canada because it's a different type of we'll call it a sand, but most cases we can handle that surface material. Now the next one is a waste. Anytime you have where oil has been extracted and spilt into dirt or soil, whether it be from oil sands extraction in Canada, whether it be from the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait, to large oil companies that are just spilling on accident that get into soil, all of that can be processed and cleaned with this technology. So obviously a huge one is a UN cleanup of Kuwait, which we're involved in. You got the Agoni lands in Nigeria. Look that one up. That's a huge 2 billion barrels of potentially spent throughout Africa. And the Agoni lands, that's a big cleanup project coming. And then the next one of the ones we really like is the ability to no longer have oil-based or hydrocarbon-based landfills. So to give you an example, when oil companies produce and they make a waste, they have to throw it away. They pay to have it thrown in a landfill. And that landfill puts a lime or something, and now you've got more hydrocarbon waste. If they give it to us, we'll clean it. The soil gets separated from the oil, no impact on landfill, and now you've got usable products. So those are three main case areas that we see this could apply for, which is gigantic.
So aside from the obvious environmental impacts, though, if what's the case you make to those oil companies? I mean, again, aside from the
Great
obvious.
question. No, great question. Well, while the oil companies, all of them have a limit or they have a quota with the EPA what they can throw away. So we tell them, now you don't have to go against your EPA quota. We'll clean it. In fact, when we can take the oil from the waste and we separate it, now you're making what's called recycled fuel. You're making recycled asphalt. And they also now get to claim that their products have a lesser carbon impact, which fits with all of their ESG and all their other initiatives as well that they're getting pressure on. That's a real big piece for these guys.
So let's talk about how this actually works and how you ensure that you're actually cleaning this waste.
Sure. So, and we've got you can go to the website, you can see some of the videos of our machinery, but it really is machinery, a combination of a physical as well as a chemical process. So when we extract the material, and the video that you see there is actually the big site in Utah. We're on a big mine site, and there's roughly 44 million barrels trapped in the oil sands around the area where we're at. Now, when we take the material, we crush it. That's a physical crushing. And then when it's put into the red containers that we call those our mixed tanks, they're added with a hydrocarbon-based solvent. That actually causes the separation of the soils from the oils. And then when we run it through the centrifuge, which is kind of the blue system there in the middle, that will run at a certain proprietary structure. Then we add a couple of heating elements to it that make it so when the sand comes off, the sand is free of oil. In fact, it's 0.25% oil by weight, which is almost non-detectable. Now you've got the sand separate, and now you have the oil separate. So that physical process as well is, and all cases, whether it's Utah, whether it's Kuwait, whether it's even Houston, we do our own testing and certification that proves to the agencies, the state agencies, that our material has less than a 0.5% oil by weight to then be certified. And now you've got this oil, right, that's been left over, which can then be separated into an asphalt product. We can pull off, make fuels, all those depending on the actual source itself. And that's what we do, both from a mechanical, physical, and then from a testing sideways testing scenario to make sure that it is a clean process. And all this has to be run through third-party validation, run through third-party
That,
separation, which we've done.
yeah, well, that was my next question, which is from a regulatory standpoint,
Uh,
whether it's state, local, or federal.
sure.
What assurances are there that you need to abide by?
Absolutely. So we actually have to abide by what's called an air quality permit. You have water quality permits. You also have um, groundwater permits, and you have testing we have to do on the post soil to show to the Department of Oil and Gas and Mining in each state that we are making that when it's done, when we're done, the product has what we said it has in it. I mean, the soil's clean. So, uh, from the good thing about what we've done is we believe we're one of the few uh, operators that have what's called a continuous cycle system, continuous feed, 24-hour day operation, and a closed loop. So all of our stuff cycles and materials around, so we don't have escaping of gases. And one key important piece which differentiates us from, quite frankly, most all other, we'll call them remediation companies, we don't use water. We use no water. Most other remediation systems require use of water to do their separation cleaning. We don't. Actually, we have to take water out
How
first.
is that possible?
Ah, so if you're doing bioremediation, which is another remediation piece, and that bioremediation, they'll put water, they'll add microbes to eat up the hydrocarbons, the oil, right? When they do that, and this is from experience, we've got a lot of experience on this. Like in Kuwait, they have to put as much as 5 cubic tons of water per cubic ton of dirt they're trying to clean. And when they're done, they still have impact on ground fill because that water seeps, evaporates, and then they've got 10% sludge left over when that sludge is still 20% oil by weight. Now you go to Canada for all their for all the we call their oil sands extraction, they use steam. They actually pipe heavy hot steam, which they've heated up with oil, down the ground via in situ, and that steam helps try to separate the oil from actually some of the ice molecules it's got in it, as well as the water molecules and some of some of the soils. So they have
Mm.
to use water in Canada. Now, our technology won't work on that extraction of the stuff in Canada, but once it's in the dirt, we can definitely clean that out. So now that's what most competitors use. Now we don't, because we purposely built a system that uses no water because we had to find a way to make the hydrocarbons be the solvent, not a citrus, not water. The hydrocarbons themselves act as a solvent because now we have, once we've cleaned off the sand, you now have a post product that doesn't need another extraction process. Taking a
Okay.
citrus or things, now you've got a product which can be separated and sold. So that was a key piece we developed quite a few years ago.
So there's a couple questions in the chat that are more directly getting at what I was trying to get at, which is if I am one of these any of these companies generating waste
Ah,
from a cost perspective, why would I choose you?
so right now, if you're a waste company, you're going to and I won't, there's quite a few couple remediation companies that take your waste. They're going to charge you $20 a ton. Okay. You
Okay.
pay, you pay them $20 a ton and they take chain of custody, they disappear. They give you back a receipt that they've disposed it, and now you have to file that receipt with EPA.
Okay.
Okay. With us, we'll still charge them $20 a ton. We'll give them a receipt showing zero impact to EPA. And part of our contractual scenario is if there are carbon credits, carbon sequestration credits, which we believe can be developed from this, because the system is a carbon neutral and negative carbon extraction process compared to normal processes, we can pass that on to them. So from a cost standpoint,
Hmm.
it's going to cost them the same. In fact, they'll end up with better impact from a fee standpoint from EPA, as well as they'll end up with some of those ESG initiatives, carbon credits and sequestration credits. So from a cost standpoint, it's the same, but they get extra value in any clean credits that are derived. Does that make any sense?
It does. Is the carbon credit is that how do I want to put this question? Is that firmly part of the equation here, or because it didn't sound like it was firmly?
It's not firmly part of the
Yeah.
equation. Currently, there is what's called a carbon life cycle analysis being done. That takes about 6 months to get done.
Okay.
And then with that certification, now each project gets certified, which is pretty exciting. And so contractually, if those are available, they'll have them. But what already is part of the equation is the same cost structure, but zero impact to EPA because we won't have any landfill consequence whatsoever.
And then in terms of like the actual technology here, whether it's the nano sponge or something
Mhm.
else, are you developing this yourself? Are you acquiring it from other
Sure.
from other companies? I mean, how long does it take, presumably, to develop technology like this?
Well, this technology took about 5 years to
Okay.
take from conception to laboratory to prototype to production phase. So that's about a
Yeah.
5 year cycle what it took. Now, the when we purchased part of it through a gentleman who became our late chief scientific officer who passed away about 3 years ago, Dr. Carpenter, and then we finished developing it from there,
Okay.
and got it to where it's at. We do acquire other technologies,
Okay.
many pieces we can plug into it. The nano sponge is a great thing, which we believe will be able to add micro refining concepts. There's a lot around those pieces will add to it.
Okay. I do want to mention, in terms of the stock, you guys recently uplisted to the Nasdaq, right, from the
Correct.
OTC. So, and that in itself is oftentimes a catalyst. But what is the next catalyst that the public, investors, whomever, has to potentially look forward to?
Yes. And we've mentioned this obviously in the S1. Utah itself, the demand for asphalt cement out of that state of that project, we have seen a huge amount of demand. So what I would look forward to is every time we place a system, we call it a remediation processing center in one of these for example, in the state of Utah, each of those systems will drive 5 million top line revenue, 2.2 to 2.3 million in EBITDA per system. The demand for the state of Utah, uh, we see that being as 10 to 20 systems over the next 4 or 5 years. You'll see us placing systems in Kuwait. Kuwait's going to be huge. And then also Houston. Those three areas over this next year, as we add those, as we machines from call it construction into production, it's going to be very exciting from a revenue, from an EBITDA standpoint to the company.
What other potential markets are there,
Excellent.
outside of those three?
Well, for Qatar, we just found 2 million cubic meters in Qatar that needs to be cleaned up. Saudi Arabia's got very large deposits that need to be cleaned.
Are you competing with, like, do you have to bid for that? I mean, how does that work?
Good question. Now, in Kuwait, there are some upcoming tenders that we do bid with other main engineering firms.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll have a partner that comes in, which we'll be bidding with, and some places they're direct contracts.
Okay.
Houston, for example, we'll actually set up a center where start taking in waste. We'll get a local partner who will be an operator, and then we'll go out and procure all those waste contracts.
Got it. So okay, I interrupted you before. So Kuwait, no, Qatar, you just found.
That 2 million cubic meters is in the north of Qatar
Okay.
that they want remediated. Goni Lands is an upcoming project which they're in the process of bidding and getting deployed on. Kuwait has 3 or 4 more tenders in the process of being awarded, which we did announce publicly. We were awarded part of a tender, part of a contract for the heavy sludge remediation, which is what we're the first ones to do so. We're very exciting about that. We expect that to expand significantly, specifically this year.
All right, Matt Nicosia is the CEO and chairman of Vivacor. I always find it fascinating when someone goes from investor to, yeah, I'm gonna become more than that. I wanna become the CEO. I'm going to work for this company.
I'm going to take over and I'm going to make the best of it. And actually, wow, look at this. This is exciting. And that's what's happened.
Yeah, it went from a investment to a career.
There you go.
Matt, a pleasure to have you on All Access today. Thanks for stopping by, and we look forward to following the progress of Vivacor.
Excellent. Thank you so much and appreciate you spending time with me today.
All right, how's it going, Matt? All right, everyone. We have come to the end of our program today. Happy Muhammad wants to alert me to the fact that the Dow is mooning right now. Is that true? Let me pull my Benzinga Pro. He says the Dow, but I like the SPY. So we're going to take a look at that real fast. Wow. Listen, at a certain point, I have to come to terms with the idea that I could be wrong. I mean, price don't lie. Let's pull up a chart. Price don't lie, everyone. This is the SPY. But the Qs are more interesting, frankly, because the Qs are the ones that are leading. I don't know. We will talk about this price action and more on Benzinga Live coming up next. So stay tuned for that. We'll go live in about 10 minutes or so. We got Jesse Kaler on the show today from Elite Trading. We're going to have, this is going to be good. We're actually going to have a new guest, Brian Overby, senior options analyst at IINN. I thought we were going to want to talk about how to hedge, but maybe not. Maybe you don't need to hedge. I'm going to have Tony Benson on the show. I'm going to have Mark Moran from Liquidity Capital on Benzinga Live today. I want to thank all our guests today. I want to thank Randall. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Joe Hayon from the beginning. I want to thank, of course, Mitch Zunaid and Ryan for stopping by. I want to thank all of you for hanging out with me in the chat. Roy, Zen Bullish, Happy, everyone who is here and chatting and hanging out. I appreciate you. And once again, want to remind you of the fact that two things. First off, this show is sponsored. It is paid for. The three companies that I interviewed today did pay to be here. They did not know what I was going to ask them. Second thing, that today's show is also sponsored by Ticker, which is revolutionizing the way investors are rewarded for brand loyalty by connecting consumers with perks for the brands that they own. Let's play that commercial one more time.
What is Ticker? That's right, Ticker with two I's, just like you. Because it's for you, for investing, for stock perks, for connecting you to public companies who reward you as a shareholder, as a brand lover. That's why people can't stop tickering. Ticker, where investors discover shareholder perks and consumers become investors in the brands they love. Ticker.
All right, ticker.com/Benzinga. The link is on the screen. The link is in the description. Check it out. Open your account, connect your brokerage, confirm your email, and in that process, there is a little checkbox that says, are you from Benzinga? You say, yeah, I came here from Benzinga, and they'll say, cool, we're going to send you a $20 Amazon gift card just for signing up and creating your account and linking your brokerage. So check it out, ticker.com, ticker with two I's, TIICKER.com/Benzinga. All right, we're done. We're done. I got through all my housekeeping items I wanted to address. So I'm going to hop off here. I'll be on with Aaron Bree in Benzinga Live in 5 or so minutes. Let's get some more likes. So, we made it to 200. I'm content with that. 203 likes. That's cool. So we got a lot more to talk about today. Markets ripping. Thanks to our three companies today. Thanks to all of you for watching. This has been All Access. Next All Access show will be same time next week. We do this every single Friday at 9:15 a.m. Eastern time. And that's a wrap. So let's end this show, producer AT.